This presentation today is a real privilege to share the journey as the new dementia consultant for a big organisation. My colleagues in the room from Bethany today and my colleagues at Alzheimer's Australia, I really thank you for this opportunity and the support that you've given this role and myself since it started in January. During my studies, it was really interesting to read the research and the books that Dawn's written and Mr. Kitwood and many others. But to be on this journey as a dementia consultant, it's a great privilege and very humbling to work with the clients and their families. And I think the last session with the panel really supports some of the work and some of the things I've learned. That it's an individual journey. So this few slides now, it's quite short, and there's a small film that I've put on our website at Bethany, because building trust with people that have got memory loss and building trust with their families is the first and the most important part of the journey. The reality for us at Bethany is that family stress needs support from an interdisciplinary team. It's a team in the community, retirement living and residential care that includes the GP, and good GPs are like gold. The stigma of seeking support from a GP, the stigma of support from therapy is really been a real concern. And so often when I've seen the families, they've been at a real level of stress themselves. The stigma, the social isolation. For me, talking to them about their knowledge and the knowledge of that person behind the disease and trying to engage them and be on the journey, that institutionalisation is not the outcome that we're looking for, that we're looking for people to remain at home or remain in retirement communities with support coming in. But their own concept has been, we can't cope anymore, we need to find some institution. There's some of the myths and problems that I've been trying to overcome. Working with GPs and introducing the nurse practitioner has been a real good advantage, because the work of a GP is overwhelming too. The nurse practitioners that we've been working with have been able to support the respite. And also the residential respite retreats are really important, not only at Bethany but with other organisations like Juniper and Amana and Alzheimer's. But most of all, our corporate body, our board, our executive actually being on this journey and being able to say, yes, we are serious about person-centred care and that quality of life is more important. So how do we build those blocks of empathy? So building trust has been individualised, or it's been in group seminars. We've started a series of Let's Talk seminars, and great success not only for reducing some of the myths about dementia, but also building family relationships, so people on the journey, the fellow travellers, supporting each other. Really talking mostly about communication and how this prevents social isolation, and also about the environment that the person's living in, looking at the space, how enabling is that or disabling is it, and also offering regular respite. But what's been really interesting for me has been that still people focus on the disability of the person. Our funding is based on the disability of the person in residential care. It's never on what the person can still achieve. So this, one of my sort of gurus is Professor John Swinton, and he talks about this, we put so much emphasis on people's cognition and not really about what are they thinking. And I think Dawn's presentation this morning around the VIPS model, what is their value to be in society? What is their identity? What is this about? How are they perceiving this journey? It's about them, it's not about the dementia itself. So during the talks in the community, we've been talking about well-being, and we've been looking at joy and connectedness, making time to address not only the physical needs of people, but the emotional and spiritual needs. And I'm not talking about religion, I'm talking about the things that give people connection and a sense of purpose. Also talking to family carers about setting limits for themselves, asking for help, but there still is that resistance and overwhelming responsibility that they feel that this is their journey and nobody else's. Setting limits, we've been doing some assessments in community where we've been doing assessments of what the stress has been like for the family and what could we put a service in if it was from Bethany or if it was from Alzheimer's WA? So linking them into all the services and the counselling services that they have at Alzheimer's, and also doing some real talk to them about mindfulness and brain fitness and brain smart things that you can do online, supporting families. And helping them to realise that they're not alone and that each journey is unique. It's not just about everybody with Alzheimer's being the same, that it's all independent. Again, the myths I've found around this advanced care planning, people think I'm talking about dying, but I'm actually talking about living, and I think that's what Kate was talking about earlier. It's about what can I still do before my diagnosis? What can I still do now during any stage? What are my preferences? If it is about end of life, isn't it better that we have the conversation now while you can still make all those choices and decisions than somebody else making those choices and decisions for you? Knowledge is power, ignorance is bliss. It's very encouraging to see families starting to watch the Start to Talk video that Alzheimer's Australia have put online. I give them information about that and talk about guardianship and advocacy and all the other people that are out there that can support them with their advanced healthcare directives. Making sure that the physical care, and I think the girls from Perth Home Care about nutrition, the value of nutrition, the value of therapy, our pain clinics, putting them in contact with our physios and looking at our speech therapists and our physio and occupational therapists so that all the physical care is looked after. But the big gap in service I've noticed for us at Bethany has been around grief counselling and around support, and often we've reached to Alzheimer's WA for that. The social aspects of care, we've been encouraging clients to go to our social centres. We've been very privileged to work with Alzheimer's in the evening with the younger onset groups and opening our doors of our social centres for supper clubs. Again, breaking down those myths that people can have access to a service that's not institutional. Looking at the cultural aspects of care, making sure that we're meeting their needs, and helping a family along the journey if someone suddenly does deteriorate from any physical or cognitive decline, helping them understand what's happening for that person. So what I want to show you now is this short clip. It was a privilege to have these two young girls whose father had been the carer for their mother, German family, and they never knew how much their mum was disabled by the dementia because their father did everything, and so they were actually in complete shock and denial when they discovered that their father died. So I just want to show you this quick clip, if that's okay. Welcome, Michelle and Andrea, and thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview with me today. We can never underestimate the stress that's involved when families and friends are seeking help, especially when they're caring alone for somebody with dementia. So today, the purpose of this interview is for you just to share your story. So thank you so much. Andrea, looking back over the last 12 months, how has this journey been for you? How has it been? What's been the hardest challenge for you and your family?
It was really hard dealing with our family life, plus the loss of our father, and then realising Mum's dementia was a lot worse than what we initially thought it was. Having her live between myself and my sister, back and forth, when we could have her each, it was really hard, and dealing with communication issues with her, and it was a big impact on our life.
Andrea, you mentioned that your dear father was the primary carer for your mum, and then when he passed away, you found things out about mum that you really didn't understand and you underestimated. Do you think your dad covered up for your mum's dementia?
He definitely covered it up. He helped her and prompted her constantly, and we knew he was doing that, but we didn't realise how much until after. When we looked back, we saw how much he covered up for her, and so when he wasn't around anymore, and also the trauma to her losing her husband sort of made it all worse, and then we realised how far her dementia had gone.
Did you have any understanding of what dementia is and how it impacts a person's ability to live? Or was it a completely surprise to you on what dementia was?
We had no support, no understanding at all. It was a big learning curve, and it just got to the stage where we needed help, we needed to do something.
Michelle, your sister gave some really good examples there of what it's been like for her and her family and yourself. Are you able to now share with us that now you're a care partner with us at Bethany, what's Mum's quality of life like living here with us and you being a care partner with us? How has things changed from now?
It's changed heaps, not just for her but for us as well. She's become part of the home here. She's got people her own age around her. She interacts with them, doing exercises and even helping out around the place, because she was always like that at home. She always was the busy bee, and she's able to do that here. She's able to help out. She has her own little room with her own things that were special to her, which has made it a lot easier for her to be out of her own home, and it's given us a bit of peace knowing that she's here, well looked after. The staff are really great, and it's been great for both her and us.
Michelle, my last question is, for people watching this short film, what advice would you offer them as they go through a similar situation as you've been through?
I would seek really good advice from your GP and get a really good caring specialist, because it can be quite confusing. You get different people tell you do this, do that, and it's not until you get someone that is really caring, and like we were lucky with Mum's specialist who actually took charge and helped us, and it was lucky that we got here through her. But because we had no idea of what to do, and if we had have, this is where we would have wanted to be with Mum anyway. It's made putting her into a home a lot easier, because this isn't like one of those homes you envisage, and it's I would just go and get help, because you can't do it on your own. You just can't.
Andrea and Michelle, thank you so much for sharing with us how things have been for you on your journey with your mum and your dad, and really hopefully people watching this film will now seek help and not feel stigmatised that they don't understand dementia, not feel guilty asking for support, actually feel more empowered to seek help. So I really thank both of you so much for sharing your journey with us. So my message, I guess, in the talks that I do to the public that are in our retirement villages, for example, is to not be afraid to come forward and start off by going to the Dementia Alzheimer's website and looking for information. That the future is about well-being, living well with dementia, not dying with dementia. That we have care environments at home, social centres, retirement living, in residential care that enable people at all stages of the disease. There's assistive technology. Sheila and myself and Alzheimer's are looking at some Communicate app assistive technology at the moment. There's mobile dementia respite services that we could build on. They're not as good as I see they could be, but together, if all stakeholders started sharing ideas and resources, we could probably offer something really interesting. I'd like to see pop-up shops where I saw in the UK, where assistive technology is actually out there next door to Myers, next door to Big W in the shopping centres, or actually in the community, in the public libraries, so people can see it, not have to go to or find. And I'd like to see our volunteer program. We've been very fortunate at Bethany to get support from Sheila Haywood and the team in the education to train some of our volunteers. And so some of the myths that the volunteers had around going into dementia units have actually been reduced and given people that were often socially isolated a dementia buddy, or a volunteer buddy is a better word, to stop that socialisation. So probably we haven't got time for questions, but I guess a lot of my work, I would like to say thank you for being introduced to come today, and I think this is a really exciting, the first symposium. I hope there'll be many more. Thank you.